music with my bro. Willing to dig it, yes or no? Here we go on with the show, the Hell Bro Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hear Me Out Bro podcast, the podcast where we talk about music that we love that other people might not love. My name is Clark. I'd like to introduce my brother, Eric.
Howdy!
Nice. As always, you can find our playlists if you want to listen along on YouTube by searching for at HMOBP, abbreviation for Hear Me Out Bro podcast. We post the companion playlist with all the songs that we talk about on the episode. And if you do listen along, we would appreciate it if you would leave a comment on the song saying the Hear Me Out Bro podcast brought you there. Maybe we could drum up some more listeners that way. If you have any questions or comments or feedback or what have you, you can email us at hearmeoutbropodcast@gmail.com. So we've started this podcast earlier this year. This is episode 19.
Yep.
And a lot of the music we've talked about so far has been from a while back. Like our first episode was about AOR. A lot of our songs were from the late 70s, early 80s. We talked about a lot of older music, but then you may have noticed, if you've been listening the whole time, that there's been we've sprinkled in some new music here and there. And so for this week, we thought we would talk about our favorite releases of 2024. And once again, both of us thought, oh, okay, yeah, I might have 2 or 3 things down to this playlist. And then we each ended up with 11 songs.
Yeah, this might be our longest playlist yet.
Maybe. Yeah, 22 songs. So yeah, these are our favorite songs of 2024, our favorite releases that have come out in 2024. So we thought we would do it a little bit different this time. So instead of alternating songs, we would go through each of our playlists, like our best of 2024 playlist, and let the other host sit back and relax and kind of be in the listener chair. So
yeah,
I'm going to hand
sounds
things
good.
over to Eric.
Okay. Yeah, mine's kind of a hybrid, I guess, because these are all songs and albums that came out in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these artists, are from way back when.
Right.
This is just what they've put out recently.
Is it like new recordings or like stuff from the archives that was never released before?
It's new recordings, except for one is from the archives.
Okay, cool.
And I'll mention that.
Yeah, I thought about some of that kind of thing too, because like Motorhead has been steadily releasing over the last couple of years, like all the stuff they ever recorded. It's
cool.
like there are a bunch of covers and a bunch of fun stuff that they recorded, alternate takes and stuff that have come out recently.
Nice.
But I neglected to add them to the list.
Yeah, as far as I know, these are all new recordings.
Okay.
That are previously unreleased,
right.
Except for one album that came out that's a re-release. Well, it's not a re-release; it's a new release of old live recordings. So I'll just go ahead and jump in. My first song is The Black Crowes, and it's from the album Happiness Bastards. And this is the first release since the band got back together in 2019. So the Robinson brothers are playing and making music again. And,
Awesome.
They did a few tours, but this is their first new album since they disbanded. So this is The Black Crowes from the album Happiness Bastards. And the song is Wanting and Waiting.
Nice. They sound great, man.
Yeah, it's just some good straight ahead rock and roll. Just, Black Crowes back doing their thing.
Yeah, it's like as much as I like like stripped down rock and roll, like, growing up being a Rush fan, it's like, man, like anything more than a power trio is just extravagance. Like, look at what Rush can
Uh-huh.
do, just three guys.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, sometimes you really need a rhythm guitar player and a keyboard player and backup singers and a clap track. And it's like,
Well, yeah, if it works in the song.
yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
great. Like, how can you not be happy listening to a song like that?
Yeah, when they first got back together in 2019, Isaiah Mitchell was playing second guitar for them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess Chris Robinson lives in Marin County now.
Oh, that's cool.
And Isaiah Mitchell had moved from San Diego, like up to the Bay Area. So I guess they kind of jammed a little bit. And yeah, when they needed a second guitar, when they first started out, Isaiah Mitchell was filling in for a bit there on some of their live appearances and going on, the TV tour kind of stuff.
Nice.
But I'm glad he's back doing Earthless because they're one of my favorite bands. I wouldn't want to lose Earthless just for the sake of the Black Crowes.
Right.
As much as I enjoy the Black Crowes too.
Right. I remember, and yeah, it's like the Black Crowes have been doing it for forever. They broke up, but
yeah,
they did it for a long time. Like they're now old school. I remember one of the
I mean they're one of America's great bands.
Yeah. And I remember one of the first times I ever felt old was hearing the Black Crowes on the classic rock station, like the local classic rock station. It was like, what? I don't remember when this album came out. Like, that's not classic
It's like
rock.
when I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember that gray hair you spotted in your beard this morning?
Oh man. Yep. Yeah. Glad to see they're back doing their thing and
Yeah, that's awesome.
getting along and writing songs. Yep. Okay, my next song is Ian Hunter, and it's from his album called Defiance Part 2, and the song is called Weed. You'll never guess what it's about. Yeah, it's like, well, Ian Hunter, he's from Mott the Hoople.
Mhm.
All the young dudes, their biggest hit that you hear his voice on. I don't know, like he's kind of like a poet type, like, I don't know, he's almost doing like the socially conscious like thing that Bob Dylan used to do.
I was going to say.
But like, so he's kind of Dylan-esque, but like I like his voice
Dylan.
a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, I've been thinking about this a lot, like the last while. Like I was watching a YouTube video of a guy touring the Lost Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and just like the way things are different out there now that they've legalized marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just totally decimated the economy out there, like, and there's people living out there that, spent decades in jail.
Yeah.
And like now it's all legal, but they can't make any money. And I don't know, weed is such a sticky topic, especially growing up in Northern California.
Right.
It's like such a double-edged sword, it's like,
yeah,
you have like this underground black market economy,
mm-hmm.
which is cool, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. And then once government gets involved, just like anything else, it's like, it just ruins everything.
Yeah, it's like they fix the problem by breaking it.
Yep.
Yeah, like
and meanwhile, there's like big people that have millions of square footage of greenhouse floor space, that can supply all the dispensaries and pay all the permits and get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
Yep.
And they're making a killing from it. But like your mom and pop out in the forests of Mendocino and Humboldt,
mm-hmm.
like can't make ends meet anymore. It's not even worth their time.
Yeah, it's like it's unregulated, like homegrown weed. Like it has no market value because it's like, well, we don't know where it came from. It's unregulated. Like it's not worth anything. Yeah, it's like I've eaten like a handful of gummies in my entire life. Like I've never smoked pot.
Like all at once?
Yes.
A handful?
Yeah.
You just reached.
I have pretty big hands too. No, like spread out over like the last 10 years. It's like it doesn't give me the high that I'm looking for. Like, and it's like I know there's different strains and blah 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 and what have you.
Yeah, it's almost too much to get involved in.
Yeah, there's all of that, but it's like, and it's like, yeah, I don't need another hobby. But it's like, I have like anxiety and paranoia and like laziness in spades already. But it's like, yeah, I don't need a drug that like amplifies all that stuff. And
that opens up those pathways.
Yeah. Yeah, like opens up all the Scooby-Doo haunted hallway doors.
Oh, man.
But like that said, it's like, yeah, like pot smokers are rarely the problem. Like they're not the ones causing all the problems in the world.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it should definitely have been legalized. But like we had this tax bill passed in Sonoma County, and it was like I didn't have a dog in the fight other than just like this is a bad law. And it was like every bud could be taxed like up to 6 different times, up to like 20%.
Yeah, they just love to get their hooks in people's vices.
Yeah, and so it's like this isn't adding anything. All this is just extracting money from the industry. Like they're just trying to kill it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I looked at like who was like funding all the campaigns and stuff for this bill, and it was all vineyard owners and like the wine industry. And it's like, it's like, well, if we can tax it out of existence, then we won't have the competition. And it's like,
then people will drink more wine.
Yeah. It's like,
when people are self-medicating, we'll be like the only players left on the board.
Yeah. But not a politics podcast.
Nope.
But yeah, that law did pass, and now, yeah, you can't make money growing, selling.
All right. Yeah, I think we covered that enough. But yeah, I like the slide guitar in that song too. Mm-hmm. The drums are cool. It's a cool recording. It's sparse.
Mm-hmm.
It like lets the message come across.
Yeah, and I love that kind of like, it's not plodding, it's not lilting. It's just kind of that like swinging back and forth.
Yeah, it's like a waltz.
Yeah, a waltz. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the brushes on the drums. Yeah.
Yeah, that slow waltz always sounds good. Like you brought up Bob Dylan. Like all my favorite Bob Dylan songs have that kind of slow waltz vibe to them too.
Okay, so yeah, there's Ian Hunter Defiance Part 1, which came out in 2023. And then this is Ian Hunter Defiance Part 2, Fiction. So yeah, I wasn't sure if Defiance Part 1 was fact and then Part 2 is fiction, but it's just Defiance Part 1 from 2023, and then this year, Defiance Part 2, Fiction. All right, my next pick is Richard Thompson, and this is from the album Ship to Shore, and the song is called Freeze.
Man, that was cool.
Yeah, Richard Thompson's pretty cool. I listen to a lot of Fairport Convention and Richard and Linda Thompson.
Yeah, you and Issa hipped me to those guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did a cover of one of their songs.
Yeah. Like these guys are cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's like the English version of Irish music. Yeah. Like Fairport Convention, I think, was one of the first bands to like electrify the trad folk English Celtic stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Richard Thompson still has that vibe, and he's a great guitar player too. So
yeah, and
he's doing interesting guitar stuff. Yeah, I love the way he sings.
Yeah, that's one I'll definitely be checking out more of.
Yeah, yeah, and it does have the album does have a maritime theme.
I'm on board.
Take
Literally
on board.
figuratively.
Nice. It's kind of a cool way to do like the video too, like the little semi-animated visualizer thing.
Yeah, those are pretty well-behaved skulls, though.
Yes, put a pin in seagulls. We'll get to them with my last pick.
Oh, no.
But anyways, yeah. Nice to hear Richard Thompson's still rocking it.
Yeah.
We're going to change gears here a little bit.
A little bit.
And just a little bit. This is Orange Goblin from the album Science Not Fiction. So Ian Hunter had fiction. This is science not fiction. This is Orange Goblin, Fury of a Patient Man. Pretty rocking.
Yeah, Orange Goblin's so cool.
Yeah, they are. I guess they're kind of a new, like, they'd be considered a new band, like in my...
Really?
Like, well, they formed in 1995.
Right.
So, like, in my book, that's a new band.
Right. Well, yeah, when you have Ian Hunter and Willie Nelson on the playlist.
Yeah, that whole album is
yeah, because
they're killer.
They're like OG Doom pioneers, man.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with having the word goblin in your band name either.
Nope.
Well, except for Goblin, which is... No, they're still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to just have all like old folksy Americana kind of stuff on my list. But I do have plenty of that. So my next song is Many a Long and Lonesome Highway from Willie Nelson from the album The Border.
Man, that's a beautiful recording. Like,
yeah,
all those instruments sounded like so warm and lovely.
Yeah, it's like a blanket or something.
Yeah, and then like, man, Willie sounds fantastic. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can hear his age,
but it's like, you know, he's actually singing. He's not just like an old man grunting into the microphone like a lot of people getting trotted out. It's like Willie still has something to say, you know? Can't make records if he ain't got nothing to say.
Yeah, he's touring this year, and he actually put out 2 albums in 2024.
Really?
This album, The Border, and an album called Last Leaf on the Tree. Yeah, I like this song. It's like classic Willie, you know? It's a Rodney Crowell, Will Jennings penned tune.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Willie's legacy is going to be around for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I mean, he's still here and he's been doing it forever. And I think even when he's gone or quits touring or quits recording, like his sons are amazing too.
Really?
You know, I think, yeah, I almost put some of their stuff on here, but maybe we'll cover them another time. But yeah, like his son Lucas sings a lot like him. And
that's cool.
Yeah, they're both great players. They're amazing. And they'll carry on the Nelson name for years to come.
And how old is Lucas? Like 65?
No. I don't think he's that old.
Just kidding.
He might, I don't know, he might be in his 30s or something.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
I'm just riffing on the fact that Willie Nelson has had a remarkably long career.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the fact that he's still doing it and sounds like, man, like so much like warmth and like his voice, like he's still got it. It's super cool.
Oh, totally. And the guitar, like he's totally underrated as a guitar player.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, Lucas Nelson. It's Lucas with a K. Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real. They're great.
Okay. Adding that to my library right now.
And he grew up on Willie's place in Sprecklesville
Mm-hmm.
and on Maui. So he's like a Maui kid. He left Maui in 2008 and moved to Los Angeles and started playing music. Yeah, 35 years old. Born in 1988, Austin, Texas. His birthday will be on December 25th.
Mm.
Oh, man. I better not listen to any Lucas Nelson this year.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you have a...
Yeah, I have a
Yep,
Christmas music
record.
curse.
Yep.
Around Christmas, if I listen to him, bad stuff happens. So I won't listen to any Lucas Nelson, but you can check him out. Yeah. Had it with Oscar Peterson, James Brown, Eartha Kitt, George Michael, but that's four people.
Hmm.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, well, stop doing that.
Yeah.
What was the... So that doesn't help
on
anybody.
or near Christmas.
You just have to go dry listening to music the entire month of December.
Yeah, I only listen to people that have already passed away
during December.
That's my... Yeah.
That's safe. Yeah, that reminds me of I think you may have told this joke on the podcast. The first time, or like one of the times, U2 went on tour and they were playing in Glasgow.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned that one or not.
Bono starts clapping his hands and he's like, every time I clap my hands, a child dies. Some Glaswegian from the front row yells, "Well, stop doing it, bastard.
Stop clapping your hands, you bastard."
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, but speaking of which, next episode will be our Christmas songs episode.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll announce it again at the end. But since we're talking about that time of year.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Man, two albums.
Get ready to jingle your bells. And
yeah, Willie Nelson put out 2 albums in 2024. So like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. If you're like a younger person and you're like sitting on an album, like what's your excuse?
Right. Not to discourage you, but yeah.
Oh man, not to be morbid, but this next song, it's a rad song from a rad band.
Mm-hmm.
This is MC5 from the album Heavy Lifting, and this song is Barbarians at the Gates.
Cool. So was that old MC5 or new MC5? Like, is that a new recording?
New MC5. Yeah, it's new MC5. It's the first album they've put out in 53 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it came out 2 months after both Wayne Kramer and Wayne Kramer, the singer, and Dennis Thompson, the drummer, passed away.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That stinks.
And Dennis Thompson actually lived here in Chico. And like last time I talked to Uncle Mike, he said he was on some music cruise or something, like one of those music showcase cruises.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis Thompson was there and they like totally hit it off and were like hanging out and like having dinner every night and stuff because they're both drummers from Chico.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great song. And that album's worth checking out because there's a bunch of like guest artist appearances on there. Like Vernon Reed's on there.
Oh, cool.
And Tom Morello and Slash.
Oh, nice.
Like, bunch of guest guitar players.
Very cool.
I don't know. I think that song's cool.
Yeah.
Barbarians at the Gate. And it's just got that Detroit groove,
Mm-hmm.
It's just rocking.
Yeah. I do think it's ironic that like proto-punk pioneers MC5 have the longest song on your end of the playlist.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's like, whoa, 4 minutes, 19 seconds. It's an epic.
Totally. But anyways, yeah. Rest in peace.
Totally.
Dennis and Wayne.
Yeah, those guys
keep on rocking. Yeah, I mean, that's blistering, for a bunch of guys in their 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
so much power.
Okay, now back to the Americana stuff for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This next song is Sierra Farrell and it's the song "I'll Come Off the Mountain."
That's a cute,
Nice little ditty.
Yep, it's a cute song.
Yeah. Sierra Farrell's cool. She's
totally.
She's from West Virginia. I don't know. She's like a young Loretta Lynn or something to me. Yeah, I guess she was like, I don't know, kind of getting in trouble staying at home in West Virginia. So she kind of just like took off hitchhiking and busking around the country. So she's like one of those like young gutter punk kids, with a guitar and a dog and like living on the road. I don't know. I guess she got discovered somewhere along the lines. But it's like, I wish her all the success so she doesn't have to go back to hitchhiking and stuff. It's like,
yeah, totally.
Just keep singing, doing what you love.
Yeah, I'd never heard of her until last time we hung out in person. We were talking about country and Western and Americana music and stuff. And yeah, you introduced me to her.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she can, sing the bluegrass stuff and the country stuff, like the old school country stuff. And she can also just sing like crazy soulful stuff. It's always her voice, she's not like putting on affectations or anything.
Right.
But I mean, she's a wonderful singer.
For sure.
So, yeah, it was a fun album that came out last year. Trail of Flowers. Okay, my next song, I had to put it on here because, like, it rocks. I'll give it a warning ahead of time. It is Christian metal.
Okay.
But, I mean, Striper's hit or miss, but, like, this song is a direct hit. It's totally rocks.
I'm going to jump in and say I put Witch Hazel on one of my playlists. So,
okay.
You're not the first to bring Christian music to the podcast.
Okay. Well, and this won't be the last one on this list either.
Uh-oh.
Actually, that's like Christian themed. But it's like, I don't know, I used to limit myself like, I'm not going to listen to that crap.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. If it's good music, it's good music.
True.
And to me, this is like pretty great music. So this is Striper, the title track from the album of the same name, End of Days. It's pretty good power metal there.
The song sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy power metal. It's just from a different like zeitgeist or something, like,
yeah, well, it's like
what you're wrapped up in or how you make sense of the world,
right.
They could have spent a little bit more time on the lyrics so they didn't have to use the word avow.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fine, but
the song.
It worked in the song, but it's like, I don't know, if I had something written like that down in my notebook, I would have been like,
on your PT folder,
that line needs a little more work.
Yeah, fair. Well,
but, man, Michael Sweet's a great singer.
Yeah, he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
But like, compare that to the song from the Halloween song from the.
I'm thinking like the same person made the video for it or something.
Like, yeah, that's immediately what I thought of. But then it's like contrast the like, look, you fools, you blew up a bunch of stuff and you won, but like, you're an idiot. Like, you made the world worse. Whereas like this, it's like, oh, the world's bad.
It is written.
It is written. And, it was prophesied, like, the world would be this bad and messed up. And it's like, but it, that just means it's a good thing. It's like, no, dude. Like, it's that kind
no, it's still a bad thing.
Yeah, that kind of attitude
it's still a horrible thing.
People with similar attitudes, like, dooms.
Yeah, wouldn't it be better if it didn't happen? Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's the exact angle they're approaching, but like, I mean, I don't know how I feel on that thing.
Well, I know exactly how I feel on it, but it's like it
does seem kind of inevitable. Like, eventually people are just generally like, could do better,
Oh, 100%. But it's also like some of the creepiest, at least in my opinion, some of the creepiest Christians are the ones that like support
That like wish for that kind of stuff.
Yep. Like the ones that
Yeah, it's
support like a very strong and militaristic and iron-fisted
Yeah.
Israel, because it's like, oh, well,
this
see,
has to
that's
happen. This has to happen
But
before
this
Jesus
happens.
comes.
Yeah.
So so how can we make this happen?
yeah, how can we speed up? How can we cycle through the cards in the deck to get to the ones we want?
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah. It's like, ugh.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's gross and it's violent and like not.
Oh, I think it's
not
misguided too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, like
Yeah, I think
anti-humanitarian.
even what is written, I think they're taking it the wrong way.
Right. Well, and famously, like the Book of Revelations was like not the end of the Bible, and like all of that stuff was like talking about Emperor Nero,
stuff that was happening at the time.
Yeah, it's like,
well, I mean, there's so many parallels. Like,
yeah, there are and there aren't.
Yeah, but Grandpa Ross always used to stress, like to learn from history.
Oh, absolutely. But
it's like, well, yeah, that happened, and like the same thing is happening now, but it's just because of patterns of human nature,
right,
and how power corrupts, and how evil can have seasons, and
right, not like, oh, see, it's all unfolding just like,
this only applies to right now,
right?
It doesn't apply to like all the other times it's happened, as societies got too big and complex and
and see,
aggressive
and see what was
overreached.
What was written 2,000 years ago in this book is true. So I'm going to use that to like justify my bigotry and being a bad person.
Yeah. Well, anyway. I mean, people use all kinds of justifications.
100%. But it's like,
whatever helps you sleep at night, I guess. Just don't bring it my way.
Yep.
All right. But yeah.
Screed over.
Striper. Okay. But, it's like you either like Striper or you don't. It's like, don't like Striper because it's like the one band your parents will let you listen to.
Right.
Because you can convince them like, oh, no. It's like, if you like AC/DC, listen to AC/DC. If you like Black Sabbath, listen to Black Sabbath. If you like Striper, listen to Striper. But don't not listen to Black Sabbath and listen to Striper instead.
Yeah, and then
just because like your youth pastor said, hey, kid, you like heavy metal? Well, there's actually Christian. There's also people that hold your values that you can listen to if you like that kind of music.
Yeah, and then like the flip side is it like just because you're like an atheist or which is just a secret Satanist. Just because you're a secret Satanist, don't discount Striper just because they're because they're Christian. Like they still rock. Like they still got oodles of talent. Like yeah. But if you can't get over that,
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Don't think that you know everything, and don't think that like your way is the only right way. It's like, if it's good, it's good.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So this next one is like back to a little slice of Americana. And this is the one album that is kind of not a re-release, but like a out of the vault kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is New Riders of the Purple Sage from the album that came out in 2024 called Hempsteaders. I guess, we already had one song about weed on here. So this is, from the album Hempsteaders. This is a release of an old live concert, and this is the song Dead Flowers.
Very cool. Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
That song's on the Big Lebowski soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Is it legal to send dead flowers through the mail?
Sure.
Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to send dead flowers to anybody, but
Well, unless they're hemp flowers, I think those are prohibited
illegal still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a cool band.
And like,
I love that old like California hippie, like desert country rock stuff.
yeah. And anyone
cosmic, what are they? Cosmic
American music
yeah,
or the Flying Burrito Brothers. Any of you listeners that are contemplating sending marijuana through the mail, having decades of experience working for the post office, I know that, yeah, we pretty much always found them. Like, you think you can't smell it because you're around it all the time.
Yeah.
Olfactory fatigue, folks. Olfactory fatigue. Yeah, no matter how you seal
Not
it
that
up.
I condone such things, but I think the way to do it is to like seal it up really well and then pack it into a bag of coffee and send the bag of coffee through the mail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, even if you're the clerk sorting the packages or the carrier delivering the package, even if they can smell the weed, they're still going to be like, sweet. Like, nobody doesn't like the smell of coffee grounds and coffee beans. Like, yeah, that was always one of the, like, if somebody got really nice coffee, I'd usually put that package up front in the truck where I could smell it until I...
By the defroster vent?
Yeah. So I could smell it until I delivered it. It's always nice.
Man.
If you get coffee shipped to your home, your carrier probably likes you. So just saying.
Yep.
All right. Tangent over.
Okay, this next one is another Christian tinged album. This is from Neil Morse, and it came out last year. This is another part 2 album.
Okay.
The previous version, which came out the year before. So part 1, which came out last year, was Neil Morse, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1. And this song is called Make Like a Breeze. And this is from Neil Morse, The Restoration, Joseph Part 2, Make Like a Breeze.
So like a stage performance that goes along with that?
Yes. Actually, there is. This is like a concept album. Well, this is the second concept album.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on Joseph from the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, you might be familiar with like Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat or whatever. You know, it's like same thing, but this is like the prog nerd musical version of that. So yes, there's different singers singing the different parts, kind of like your concept album a bit, just based on a different book.
True.
Or different folklore, if you will.
Yep. Like how I was going to phrase it.
I don't know. His daughter was very, very sick, and something happened that he considered a miracle. So he kind of decided to just like dedicate the rest of his life to God and start like making music in alignment with that.
Okay.
And so he made different albums, you know, this or that. But like where he really started kind of firing on all cylinders was when he started the Neil Morse Band. And when Mike Portnoy joined his band.
Oh, yeah.
They really started firing on all cylinders. And they started with he played in other bands with him, like doing like super groups like Transatlantic and stuff. But like kind of their like pinnacle is when they came out with Similitude of a Dream in 2016. And it's like a prog concept album based on John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress from like 1670 something. It's like a allegorical tale of, you know, like a hero's journey kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a whole concept album on that called Similitude of a Dream. And then they had an album that followed that called The Great Adventure. And Similitude of a Dream ends with, and now the great adventure begins. And then the next album was The Great Adventure.
So, Similitude of a Dream. Tell me your prog without telling me your prog.
Right. And so I think this is like stuff he did during COVID lockdown, because this is all kind of Neil Morse, and then he would have people like do their parts and stuff.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, this is mostly him kind of like playing everything, or having different people here and there, like just working in their home studios.
Yeah, filling in little parts and stuff.
Yeah. And it's a little more Jeff Wayne-y because it's more like a musical than like a prog concept,
It sounds really good though.
Yeah. And like if you listen to the whole thing through, it's got a story to it.
Right.
That came out this last year.
Yeah.
Anyways, had to note it because I'm such a prog nerd and such a Neil Morse fan. It's like, I don't know. Some of his stuff he does is he does such disparate stuff. Some of it's like even a little too cheesy for me. But there's enough of it that's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it sounded cool.
It's like sometimes I'd rather listen to music than like watch a movie.
Right.
And sometimes musical adaptations of stories are better than what's been churned out movie wise in the last while.
Yeah, like
for whatever reason.
What a lot of people don't realize is like the whole concept of like being entertained while you just like sit there pensively, like eating popcorn and drinking soda or whatever. Like that's totally like in the last maybe 50 years, people have been able to do that. But it's like oral storytelling and like skalds and singers and storytellers and stuff. Like it's like, yeah, people will be like sitting around the fire listening to this story, but like they're not just like sitting there. Like they'd be doing something.
Right.
And so it's like having that like audio storytelling is like super OG human. And like, while you're building something or working on something or painting or knitting or, what have you.
Right. I mean, it's how we evolved to learn things.
Yeah.
And listen to things and get new knowledge.
Oh.
That's why I like podcasts so much. It's like
Same.
I can tinker around out in the garage. And
you have your hands free.
Yeah.
And your
I
eyeballs
can just
free.
listen and have my brain engaged while I do otherwise semi-mindless stuff.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because it totally reminded me. I saw this really cool thing. We can throw it on the end of the playlist if you feel like it. Neil deGrasse Tyson, like he has the Star Talk podcast, he and his friend do. And they have really cool guests. And
they talk to a lot of different stars.
A lot of different scientists.
Scientists/stars.
Yeah. But no, he had this scientist on, and he was talking about like the science of music and how, I kind of understood, but like this is like doubling down on what and has an important point the scientist makes is he had this idea that there wasn't enough research and enough good research. Like he thought about writing a book about it like 15 years ago, but he was like, yeah, the science isn't in, hasn't been enough research on it. Like I can't write a book about it if it's all just, made up and, hinted at or, and it was totally just like one of those like light bulb moments or like aha moments or like the meme of what's his name snapping at the screen.
Yeah.
Some of the earliest artifacts besides like stone tools that we found are musical instruments. And like they found like bone flutes and like clearly like you're not going to like pick up a bone and know how to make a flute unless you've like for generations been making like wooden flutes or flutes made out of reeds or something.
Reed flutes.
Yeah, stuff that doesn't fossilize and doesn't preserve as well as bone. And so, like, the hypothesis is that like music predates language, and like language is like basically just like a subset of music. That it's like our brains are evolved to like understand music before language. That's why like a lot of like children's teaching things are like rhymes and sing, like you know, the ABCs is like sung to a tune. So like our brains are like like hardwired to understand music. And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we know, you know, we've done brain scans of humans and blah blah blah, but we didn't, you know, we can't brain scan a Neanderthal and know how their brains worked. But it's like, well, like birds have been singing,
right? That's what I was gonna say. It's like
millions of years.
Birds and
and it's like they're able to communicate, and like whale songs, like there's like musical notes, and so it's
animals
like
howling,
this communication via music. And so it's like it totally makes sense that like at every stage of human evolution that like music was somehow involved.
Yeah, and music is kind of the great communicator. Like culturally, it's like there's a lot of languages I don't understand, but I can enjoy the music and kind of get the gist of what the song may or may not be about.
Right.
Just based on how it's comes across.
Yeah, that may or may not come up again in the playlist.
Universal language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out. We'll figure out some way we can include it in the show notes somehow, or have it have a link to the interview on our Facebook page or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, this is my last song. And you talked about in the Richard Thompson song that I did how well behaved those seagulls were.
Mm-hmm.
This song is about seagulls that are less well behaved.
Which is what you'd expect from this band.
Yeah, this is from the album Flight B741 from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And this song is called Rats in the Sky.
Yeah, that was not what I was expecting from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh man, I love it so much.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I'm still not 100% sure what that album's about. I know, like the album has like this big biplane kind of thing with a bunch of pigs on it. So yeah, it's just like animals and like takes place in the sky, or like I like that little twist in that song where they like start talking about the humans, you know, like everybody's on their phones and stuff, and like always hurrying, never arriving. Yeah, nothing truly dangerous, nothing surprising. It's like that's totally it in a nutshell, you know. It's totally. That's why I used to love riding motorcycles and mountain bikes and stuff, and surfing. Like
living in the moment.
I don't know,
like having to concentrate on what's happening instead of anxiety about the future.
Yeah, and having like a little element of danger there to like help you feel alive.
Yep. Yeah, that song also made me think of there's a Clutch song where they talk about, it's got to be Clutch. It might be the company band.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Fallon's, one of Neil Fallon's other projects. But he talks about like this, like the seagulls are flying over us. Are we the ocean? Are we the garbage?
Oh, man.
It's like, yeah. Are you living an ocean life, or are you living a garbage life? Why are the seagulls hanging out with you? But yeah, all the other stuff I've heard from that band has been kind of like stoner doomy. Like that song sounded more like the Bosom Buddies theme.
Yeah, I love just how upbeat it is and silly and stuff. And I guess like when they made this album, they didn't have like any idea for an album, but maybe it's not a concept album because they like just came in and just like kind of jammed and like made everything up, and like everybody took turns like, oh, well, I want to do something like this. And, like everybody's ideas like got thrown in the hat.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Maybe there isn't a thread to it, but it seems
Maybe.
kind of like there is. I don't know.
Yeah. Or it's like the anti-concept album. Yeah. There's a garbage man with a scar on his heart. Primordial reasons got me thinking we're not so far apart.
Yeah. This cruel city that I love, my crumb kingdom.
Yep. Oh man.
Yeah. And the what's the one that like the bread crusts are my banquet, puddles are my wine.
Yep. I revel in the present, each moment a lifetime.
I need only flap my wings and I'm where I want to be.
Yep.
It's almost like a hobo kind of carefreeness kind of vibe.
Yep.
King of the road.
Yep. Big Rock Candy Mountain.
Yeah, so that's my last song. Like I whittled my list down because I thought, I'll find a couple songs. And then it's like, oh man, this is too many songs. It's like, but I don't know. All these ones were kind of keepers, like notable 2024 releases,
right?
That are worth. I mean, if you hear any of one of these songs and like it, like go back and check out the album that they came off of.
Yeah, totally.
See if there's anything more there.
Yeah, that's exactly what my playlist is too. I ended mine with it was hard. I almost did two songs from the same artist, or same group.
Yeah, I figured it was just like a primer, It's like, but I like this band. I like this record.
Yeah.
If you like it too, check it out further.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
dig deeper.
It's the same thing. Like ended my playlist with a silly song. It's like I almost added 2 songs from that album. Couldn't decide which one was sillier.
Oh man. All right. Well, I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Alrighty.
That was my last song. So what were some of your favorite releases from 2024?
Well, much like you, I thought, okay, yeah, I could probably add a couple, 2 Tree songs, off the top of my head. And then I started thinking about it and it was like, oh yeah, this came out this year. Oh yeah, this album came out this year. Okay, cool. So the list started getting longer and longer and it was like, oh man, yeah, I do listen to a lot of heavy metal. So there's a lot of heavy metal on my list. But then it's also like, oh, right. Yeah, there was other stuff too. So long story short, ended up with 11 songs also.
Oh man.
And so Cosmic American, Weird Americana features on my playlist too. So I'm going to start off with Charlie Crockett, Killers of the Flower Moon, from the movie Killers of the Flower Moon, based on the book Killers of the Flower Moon. I've read the book, I've listened to the song, I've yet to watch the movie. It's a pretty grim subject, and it's an interesting story. This is a story song. But yeah, it's like you kind of need to have your head in the right place before you encounter this tale from history, because it's pretty messed up.
It's a lot to chew.
Yeah. It's no jaunty Rats in the Sky. So this is Charlie Crockett, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's a couple true crime podcasts that talk about the Osage territory, and they were not 100% on the history, but like one of the treaties they had, like they bargained for mineral rights or whatever, or the treaty included mineral rights, and like they said in the song that like it was before oil was discovered on their land, or the land that they had been pushed to. And so it was like this, like, oh, you like backed me into a corner, but then I found this like pot of gold in the corner, because they were not really part of the US. They couldn't tax that money. And so it was like, oh, well, we can't have all these Indians getting rich. Like, there's got to be some way we can screw them out of this money. Like, so yeah, sad story. People being to each other.
That video is kind of an interesting concept too, of like the scrolling and stuff. Like, artistically it was cool, but it kind of got old after a while. It's like,
Yeah,
I hate phones anyways.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, like zooming in on a picture.
it's a good idea, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I also like that. I did like how in that, like, some of the transitions were like in the eye of a vulture that was like
Yeah,
watching over, like hanging around,
Yeah, like
waiting to
the
come
silent
in and
witness.
scavenge. Interesting contrast with the seagulls.
Yeah, and the parallels to the characters in the tale
Yep. Yeah.
or the story. I guess not really a tale.
Yeah, it actually happened. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess, but yeah, like I said,
Unfortunately.
I think there's a couple true crime podcasts that talk about Osage country, and like, if you want more about the story, like, succinctly without having to experience it as a heart-wrenching narrative. Interesting. Be nice to people. Treat them with respect.
So aside from the song and the story, like
Oh, yeah.
little spiel on Charlie Crockett for those not familiar.
Yeah, he like grew up in Texas, and what's the quote? Like, he had a pretty rough life starting out, and hey, whoa, his mom was a Volga German,
Huh?
or well, is of Volga German descent. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find the quote, but it's something to the effect of, like, people often ask him if he like exaggerated some of the stories that he's put the song, and he said something to the effect of, no, you had to leave a bunch out, otherwise people wouldn't believe it.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, but it's like,
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
the opposite.
hard times make for good. Yeah, sometimes hard times make for good art.
Yeah, and it's like, this guy's definitely followed the Merle Haggard track. Yeah, and like, connection to Northern California, like, he's got a song about, he left Texas and kind of went all over and came out to LA to try and make it playing music in LA, and like, LA was just too phony. And then, like, he came up to San Francisco, and like, people were nicer to him in San Francisco, and he loved it, but it's like, the city's too cold and life's too hard. And so he kept going up north, and he ended up in Cloverdale. No, Ukiah.
Ukiah.
And I guess he was homeless in the big park they have there in town. And some people like came by and like saw that he was still there, and were like, hey, well, we got someplace you can sleep. Like, why don't you come work on our farm? And, like, you can sleep at our place. And it was like the first time anybody, like strangers, had like stepped up and were nice to him. And yeah, and so like, kind of his spiritual home is Ukiah, California, which is pretty interesting, because it's like, you don't often hear a lot of good coming out of Ukiah.
Yeah, not too much, but
yeah, it is a cool town. Like, so
yeah.
the very first concert, like after the COVID lockdowns and stuff, they have like a summer concert series up there, and they hadn't been able to have it for a couple years because of COVID. And so they started it up, and Charlie and his band played there. And it was like, it was really, really cool. Like,
Yeah, cool.
yeah, like, you could really feel like, man, this guy's the real deal. Like, he's telling it like it is. He's like telling a story, but it's like a true story, and like, he feels this deep connection to stuff. Yeah, he's like a genuine dude. Very cool. Yeah, and it's like, it's really cool to be like, that people are still playing like classic kind of music, classic American music, that it's like, can you imagine like listening to that song with Dad or Grandpa Nobles, like
Yeah.
they would totally get it and be like, wait, when did this album come out? 2024. Yeah, just super cool. If you've not listened to Charlie Crockett, or if you have, listen to Charlie Crockett. Next up, we go from very genuine character to very unknowable characters. Found out about these guys through Instagram, and nobody really knows who they are. But they are coming to the US for the first time next year. They're going to play at this like weird, like kind of new age commune kind of place down by Big Sur.
Coming to the US from where?
From the UK or from the British Isles.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where they're from, but yeah, it kind of gets into the stuff we were talking about like ancient music and like insects and natural sounds and stuff.
Huh. Does this tickle your DNA?
Yeah, because I don't, as much as I love like spooky stuff, like kind of cornball spooky stuff, genuinely like uncanny stuff, I like even better. And it's like, you give me a good drone from some sort of instrument, especially if it's a bagpipe, like I'm on board. This is Tabernis Carmen Regenerum. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I don't know if you're...
Yeah, those guys are pretty weird.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a creepy nerd like me, but like those outfits are based on like medieval beekeeper outfits.
Oh.
And
yeah, I was thinking of something else.
What were you thinking of?
But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And if you noticed on it, the guy's drum, like the tensioners, like the string tensioners, were like honey drippers, or like the the wooden like honey serving thing.
Yeah.
They have like a bee theme for their whole shtick.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like how far paper plate technology has come.
Oh yeah,
since we were kids. Like, remember you used to have to have those wicker things to like put your paper plate on, so it wouldn't you wouldn't lose your potato salad.
And then the big innovation when we were kids was the plastic wicker paper plate holders.
Yeah. The dishwasher safe ones.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they probably weren't even dishwasher safe.
Probably
but
not.
You could reuse them.
Yeah. It's probably where all the like RBST in the groundwater, half of it came from those.
I wonder if you could still find those wicker paper plate reinforcers.
I'm sure you can. Yeah, I mean, they still make crappy, cheapy paper plates. So
that's true.
That's a bridge we have not entirely crossed as a species.
There's remnants.
Yep. Holdouts.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I just thought those guys were cool, and I've known about them since last year, I think. Like they had a couple shorts of them playing music, and so it was this year when they finally were able to release their recordings.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, I started playing Chanter for a while.
Yeah, the Chanter.
And I was thinking about getting a set of pipes, but then I got mold sick, and I just started thinking about, you're compressing this like moist lung air into this leather bag.
Yeah, and like that actually is a thing, like a known thing, like the Piper's lung.
Yeah, I just started thinking, I don't need that in my life.
Yeah,
I had to throw everything else out. I'm not going to bring something else in.
Yeah, something that's going to like concentrate it,
be detrimental to me.
Yeah. But yeah, bagpipes are so cool, man. Like,
yeah.
what an ancient and like universal sound that it's like, man, like people associate him with Scotland, but it's like, those are ancient. They're all
from
over.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, you can just imagine like the animal skin with like the 4 legs
Mm-hmm.
and the neck. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, kind of form follows function, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they have like are they just called drones? What are the parts?
The ones coming out of the top. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are drones. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you get that like tone even when you're not actually like playing the like recorder part of it. Like
Yeah.
that's why I always thought it would be like the instrument for me is that like, it's not like a didgeridoo where you have to be like doing the circular breathing. You're like constantly like you are
Yeah.
the bag or like or like any kind of wind or reed instrument where it's like, you know, you have to like manage your breath and like in between notes, like breathe in and stuff like that. But it's like bagpipe, like you've got the blower, so you're like blowing into the bag, but it's like you're not directly connected to the rest of the instrument. Like you're just filling up the bag so you can like play the recorder flute part and then like you're squeezing the bag under your arm, like blow air over the reeds and the chanters, or in the drones. So I don't know. I just thought it would be cool that it's like you don't have to like couple your breathing to the rhythm of the song.
Yeah.
So it's like one less thing you have to worry about if you're an awkward non-musician.
Yeah, it's still kind of complicated.
Oh,
though.
for sure. That's why I haven't actually
It's a lot of moving parts.
tried doing it. But
yeah.
it just seemed like, oh, okay. Well, I don't have to worry about that. So
I'm thinking about it's a long way to the top.
right. One of the greatest bagpipe songs of all time. So next up, this is a little bit different. This is just one part of this whole saga. And this is mostly just like a sound bed of like natural sounds and spoken word. There on some of the other parts, there are a little bit of instrumentation and some singing and throat singing and stuff. So this is a band from Siberia called Nightland. And this is from a whole saga called The Tale of the Nissan Shaman. And this is part 1 of 13, Earth and Death. So they have an English version and a Russian version of the whole thing. So I thought I would spare us a little bit of the weirdness and play the English version.
Yeah, when we were just talking about listening to stories sitting around the fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the story continues in the rest of the parts.
Yeah, I went to a Nissan Shaman one time.
Really?
Yeah, I was having a little. My 510 was running a little rough. Like the clutch would slip when you'd go into 5th gear.
Yeah.
So yeah, found a Nissan Shaman to put a new clutch in and give it a good tune-up.
Right on. It's pretty rare. That's like somebody who will work on imports.
I really like kind of the cadence and the way they build out like Russian tales. Like, I don't know, I really like Tolstoy and stuff, especially like, well, I like pretty much everything he's written, but like his short stories, like the way he structures them, just kind of reminds me of that a little bit, like the way they build the characters, and it always kind of starts out before you think it should start out. And then, it's not just like a newspaper article or something.
Yeah, like headline. Okay, I'm going to skip the first paragraph because it's just setting up the thing, and just want to get the facts. Yeah, it's like this story began a long time ago. Yeah.
Do you know how much land does a man need? It's a Tolstoy
sounds
kind of
familiar.
short story.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's like kind of greedy about his land, and the devil comes to him and says, if you pay me 1,000 rubles, you leave at sunrise, and as far as you can walk, as much land as you can encircle, and come back by sunset, like all that land will be yours.
Mm-hmm.
So like the guy sets out and he like just like, oh well, that valley looks great too, and he just get greedy, and then he like realizes it's getting late, so he rushes back, just starts sprinting back to beat the sunset,
Right.
and he gets back there and like dies from exhaustion. And
Man.
like, so like the moral of the story is the amount of land that one man needs is basically like 6 feet by like a couple feet to
Right.
get buried in.
Yep. Yeah. The other one is from Swedish folklore, like Scandinavian folklore. There was like some sort of dickering going on. I can't remember the characters. It was like a king and like I can't remember if it was a troll or a witch or something and her sons. But somehow it was like, well, like give me as much land as I can like encircle with with an ox hide. And like
Yeah.
the king was like, oh, like what's that gonna be? Like 10 square feet? Like, come on. It's ridiculous. But they like
strip it down to these really thin strips.
yeah, and like encircled like a quarter of Sweden. This
Yeah.
ribbon of oxhide. And then
Oh man.
yeah, I might be conflating stories too, but there's another one where like an enormous ox like plowed some land or something. I can't remember.
Huh.
Anyway, yeah. Land.
Yeah. Stories. Yeah, I like all the stuff in the background, the little twang.
Yeah, the little mouth harp.
Throat singing. And,
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool that Napalm puts stuff like that out too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I don't know if you saw her at the beginning, but like they have a pretty like unique look. The two of them.
Yeah.
They like really nail the like shaman look. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I like mouth harp and skin drums and stuff. So there's and bagpipes.
Yeah, there's all kinds of hillbillies.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're all kinds of hill folk.
Yep. Just be careful when you go out to hunt by that hill.
Yep.
Yeah. So the beginning part of my playlist kind of has a thread running through it. So I know I've talked about these guys probably a half dozen times on the podcast. One of my favorite bands.
Or a full dozen.
Yeah, 12 out of 19 episodes. Sounds about right. One of my favorite bands, Korpiklani. They're from Finland, just as far north as Scandinavia, Siberia. And like very much tapping into like the shaman drum part of human history. So this is the title song off their album that came out this year called Ranka Rumpu, which means the ragged drum.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I love those guys so much.
Sorry, I'm checking prices on BC Rich basses on Reverb.
Is that what Yarko was playing?
Yeah, I look like an old BC Rich Eagle.
Nice.
Whoa.
Got to remember to play it barefoot, though.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, if I got one of these, I probably couldn't afford shoes anymore either. Whoa. Yeah, those old wood finished ones. Yeah, run north of $3,000.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, Geezer Butler used to play one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Korpiklani.
Yeah, they're so good.
What can you say about them that hasn't already been said? I'm just kidding.
How long do we got? Yeah, they're amazing. Like I love that they're like, you know what? we like that we have an international audience, but like we have an international audience for like because we're been doing our own thing. Like a couple years ago, they released their first album that was all in Finnish,
Ah,
and it was like, oh, like is it going to be as commercially successful because they don't have like a sing along English lyrics like drinking song, and it's
right.
like, yeah, no, it's still Korpiklani. We still love you. Like, keep doing it. Like, it's
Yeah.
great. Love that album. The next one was even better, and it's like, holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think country music is the only style of music that if you don't sing about drinking, it affects your record sales.
Yeah. Well, like folk metal, there's a lot because it's like, you're sitting in the mead hall with your mead horn.
Yeah, I guess when you're not, yeah, the time for song and drinking and tales is like after the battle's been fought.
Yeah. After
Yeah.
the harvest is in, and Olaf has made the last of the apples into cider. Everybody's feeling jolly and like, all right, we got the crops in. Like we're gonna make it through winter. Celebrate.
Yeah, I was wondered how, man, that must have been tough making it through winter. Some of those northern countries.
Oh, totally. Yeah, where it's like even now with like modern lighting and infrastructure and stuff, where it's like,
It's still tough up there. Yeah.
yeah, you have like a couple months where they're like, if you're far enough north, like the sun just doesn't shine. Like,
Yeah. It's too cold to do anything else.
yeah, too cold to do anything, too dark to ski.
Yeah, just have a couple barrels of wheat and a bunch of dried fish hanging from the rafters.
Reindeer,
Good luck. See you in 6 months.
smoked reindeer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like reindeer and lingonberry pemmican,
Oh, man. Yeah.
bars of fat and dried berries, getting you through the long
Yeah,
days
I
of winter.
need to make some pemmican. Been trying to figure out how to dry the meat the right way.
Oh man,
Get it really dry. I have the dried blueberries, and I got some good grass-fed lard.
Yeah. Speaking of,
It's gonna make a bunch of little bars.
I know I told you, but I went to a German restaurant last night and got the Schweinshax, braised and roasted German style pork knuckle. I was only able to finish about half of it. I'm gonna have the other half for dinner tonight. But I think the half that I ate last night, speaking of lard, I think I'm gonna survive this winter just based on that.
Oh man.
Holy moly. It's like it's got the skin on. So it's like I don't know. It's like 3 insane meals all at once. Yeah. Yeah, it was like really good carnitas wrapped in like a layer of rendered bacon fat and bacon grease
Oh man.
with like crackling, like the tastiest
Oh.
crackling you've ever had, holding it all together.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have sauerkraut tonight.
Nice.
Just have some beef with some sauerkraut.
Yeah. Yeah, I had like oven roasted potatoes and sauerkraut and gravy
Oh man.
as part of the whole meal.
Oh yeah, actually I have potatoes too. That's what's on the menu tonight.
Nice. Alrighty. Rather than spend the rest of the podcast talking about Korpiklani, I'm going to move on. Korpiklani and or food.
Or food.
Yeah. Another album that came out, another Finnish heavy metal band, Ensferum. This is off the album Winter Storm, and the song is Fatherland. Yeah, a little more like power metal cheese than you usually get from those guys. Like their keyboard player is a relatively new addition to the band. They had a keyboard player and she would sing like backup vocals and then this new guy, like, kind of, he does a little more singing, and so it's like they have the original singer doing the harsh vocals and then the new guy doing the clean vocals, and it gives it much more of that like power metal sound, which
Ah,
I kind of like because they still kind of have a foot in their older stuff. It's not just pure power metal.
yeah.
So I think they're able to walk that tightrope, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the video is pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's pretty cheeseball, like Vikings fighting a bunch of guys in anachronistic, like Renaissance era Italian Gothic armor. Like,
Well,
it's probably
which movie was that
probably
from?
not.
Which film was that from?
What do you mean?
Well, I at the beginning there, I saw those were Dementors, right, flying around when they're first coming out to battle.
I never read any of those books or saw any of those movies, so I'm gonna move on.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty silly. And then they're like, but I loved him. He gets shot in the back by an arrow.
Yeah, the classic trope.
Yeah. Pretty cheeseball. But yeah, it's like I can't help but like those guys. They're all super talented,
Yeah.
and then it's like they write cool songs, and then like I talked about them on the bass, Mount Rushmore bass. That's Sammy Hinka, dude. Like 6-string bass. The guy's like super tall and just like, yeah, what a cool dude.
Yeah, I mean it kind of really is like the upside of the whole like death of the record industry kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That like bands can be so niche, you know? Like, yeah, I mean like
Well,
if you look back at the classic metal stuff that we covered before, like there was always the sword and the fantasy stuff,
right?
But like you couldn't get like historical. You can just be all like power metal epic.
You could a little
maybe in
bit.
Europe you could,
yeah. And then it's like, yeah, all the European labels like Metal Blade Records and Napalm and like, yeah, it's like they've always supported artists like that.
Well, and I think that comes from living in a country that's older than 200 years old.
True. Yeah, it's like it's part of everybody's imagination because there's like ruins of a castle up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you kind of have I don't know, like a more nuanced view of history too, of just like, well, yeah, kind of everybody was always jerks to each other. Like, you know, for a while, my ancestors were on top and they were jerks. Then your ancestors were on top and they were jerks. Instead of like U.S. history where it's like, well, we're the good guys, so we can never
We're always the good guys.
We can never do anything wrong. And it's like, yeah, did you forget about the people that were already here?
Yeah.
And then just like, yeah, you get labeled as like a whatever for like acknowledging that we were jerks and still are jerks. And it's like, well, I mean, you can still like the country and accept that like not everybody here
without lying to yourself.
Yeah, not everybody
about
here.
How you got here.
Yeah, and not everybody here has had a fair shake. Like, anyway, again, we're not a politics or history podcast.
Well, yeah, not too much.
But you know,
we try and steer clear of it as much as we can.
Yeah, but you know, Vikings are cool, even if they were holes.
Yeah,
but, you know, them fighting like Renaissance armored knights or men at arms or whatever those dudes were.
Yeah, I mean the idea of Vikings, the idea of Vikings is cool until they like pull up on your village.
Right. Yeah. One of the quotes I heard in the last couple of weeks is, "Who do you root for? Root for the civilians."
Yeah.
Like the civilians are always the ones getting the raw end of the deal.
And I guess that's another way to like make it through the long winter is to like not be around, you know.
Well, yeah, that's
like plundering and stuff. Like,
Well, they would do
leave
that.
the women and the children to like.
Well, because they would really only go raiding during the summer, like once the seeds were sown. It's like there's not really a whole lot to do, and then it's like then you really are a burden because it's like you're like living off the land and living off like the tail end of last year's harvest
Yeah.
during the summer because it's like your crops haven't come in yet. And so it's like, yeah, if you can go somewhere else and take their food and like spare your women and children and old folks from having to like feed a bunch of hungry dudes, like just
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
the sun shines and the wheat grows, like that's the way to do it.
Or you could move.
Yeah, which also a lot of them did. It's just like, oh, wait, it's not pitch black 60 days out of the year.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, sorry I killed your old neighbor, but now I'm your new neighbor.
Yeah.
Let's all get along. I remember some friends of mine did their, as North American white people did their DNA testing. And she was like, look, like I'm this percentage more Swedish than you. Like I'm more Viking than you. And I was like my friend was kind of a little miffed at that. And I was like, dude, no.
Doesn't mean you're from there.
Well, it doesn't mean you're from there. And then it's like, well, no, you might be more Swedish. That doesn't mean you're more Viking. Like Viking's a job, not an ethnicity. Like if you're Irish or like English or, from Normandy or wherever, you have more Viking ancestors than anybody like from Sweden. That's like, no, you're descended from Swedish farmers. The Vikings went somewhere else and contributed to the DNA of the locals.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, unless you're from Iceland, like, come on.
They were pollinators.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know how we got there.
Speaking of Vikings, another heavy metal band from that part of the world here had a new album come out this year called Battle Ballads. Great album, lots of great songs. This song is one of my favorites on there called Axes. So this is Tyr with Axes.
What was that? The funny song that you were talking about?
Yeah. You didn't find that humorous? It is funny that those are all the guys from the band fighting each other, like in the Faroe Islands, like their homeland.
Dude, you were late for band practice.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah, but it's like, it has some, as sort of tropey that's that song and that the video is, like there's some deeper symbolism in there, and like it's one of the lessons of like the sagas from that part of the world is like strife breeds strife. You should try to get along and be good neighbors. Like,
yeah,
there are so many sagas about like, oh, somebody like stole one of my cows, and so I went to get it back and like fought his son and like ended up killing his son, and then like the father comes and kills one of my sons, and then like,
where does it end?
Yeah, where does it end? Like an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Gandhi quote. And like, I don't know if it's on purpose, but like one of the symbolic things I noticed is like up until the very end of the song, every time they show the axe guy in front of the fire, and whenever they show close-ups of the fire, the footage is reversed. And so like the flames are like going down, and like it stands out to me as like another way of stating like strife breeds strife, but like you can't unburn wood. Like once it's gone, it's gone. Like once you take a life, like you can't bring it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, deeper than just a bunch of dudes swinging swords at each other.
Yeah. And the other takeaway is, if you go to a heavy metal show and you're in the mosh pit, like remember that we're all in the mosh pit together. And again, strife breeds strife. Like, don't push people too hard. They might push back. And, if you rip somebody's shirt, look what happens.
Especially if it's their favorite band shirt.
Yeah. That was the thing I thought when I first saw that. Because, like, they have the shirts on inside out. But you can clearly see that, like, he's got the sleeves cut off. There's something printed on the inside. And I think it might be one of the tier shirts they actually own. And it's like, it's got holes in the armpits, and like the design is all faded because I've worn it. It's like barely black anymore. It's like faded to gray.
In other words, it's just getting good.
Pretty much. But it's also like, oh, well, they don't make that design anymore. It's like, man.
Oh, man.
They ripped that shirt. That's my favorite shirt.
You can relate to the tragedy of it all.
They don't make that shirt anymore. They kill you guys.
Yeah. Gandhi's whole thing of nonviolence actually came from him reading Tolstoy.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that years ago.
Yeah. And Tolstoy got it all from to him, that was like kind of the synopsis of the whole New Testament was
right
to turn the other cheek. That's as good as you can do.
Yeah, totally. But it's like, it's ironic that, like, we're all living in the world that we adopted. But, like, if real Vikings came back, like, they wouldn't have time for any of the Viking metal people. He'd be like, oh, you phonies. Like, you think you're tough.
Maybe. Just sneeze on them, I guess.
That's true. But then, like, like, if Jesus came back, like, would he recognize any of the people who claim to be his followers these days? Like, it's pretty rare, the, like, Christian that actually follows the teachings of Jesus.
Well, I wouldn't say it's rare, but there's a lot of other stuff baked in with it now.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, how many people actually, like, turn the other cheek and, like, love thy neighbor.
Right. That's why you stick to the basics.
Love your enemies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's division, because deep down, all people, well, not all people, but most sane people want the same thing.
Right.
You have to be pretty poisoned one way or another to, like, look beyond the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens.
Yep.
Unfortunately. But it's the world we live in today in 2024.
Yes. 2024, the year that prolific heavy metal band Grand Magus released their latest opus, Sun Raven, including.
And I should have just put no metal on my list.
I'll get to stuff. No, pretty much had my one.
Like if we had like
one of the two non-metal songs on my playlist.
Yeah, we had like a scale, like, to like try and balance out like my songs and your songs. Is like yours are like way too heavy. Like it's imbalanced. All the heaviness is at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, they did have Charlie Crockett and Tabernis and Nightland. So.
Oh yeah, Charlie Crockett. But that's towards like my end of the seesaw.
Right. Yeah. So Grand Magus. Let's just listen to the song and we could talk about how great these guys are. So this is Skybound off of Sun Raven. So have I ever talked to you about this emotion that I have, that I've experienced, and like I need to talk to a native German speaker, because there probably already is a German word for this emotion. If not, there could be, because like the German language has a lot of like compound words, or like words that are like things, concept, or different pieces squished together. It's not like it's not a disappointment at all of like, oh man, I want to start a band, but I'll never be as good as those guys. Or like, oh man, like it's not a discouragement. of like, oh man, this author's so great. Like, how could I ever be that good? It's like a liberty of like, oh,
I don't have to do this because it's already been done exactly right.
yeah. But it's like if I was in a band, it would be Grand Magus. Like,
yeah, I love those guys, and like I like everything I've ever heard from them, but I don't have any of their like music on my hard drive or anything.
mhm.
Yeah, I think I need to just like sit down with some albums,
Yeah,
soak it in. Because yeah, everything I've ever heard from those guys is like, why don't I listen to these guys all the time?
yeah. Like they're one of those bands that I would like get. I won't even say borderline obsessed with, but it's just like one of the roadies had the Bon Scott, "The Legend Never Dies" in that shirt in that video. But it's like, when you start listening to AC/DC and it's just like, why don't I listen to more AC/DC? And you just listen to AC/DC over and over again until you're like, okay, maybe I need to take a break.
Yeah.
Or like I did this.
Yeah, I'm a bit like a pit bull, like,
yeah, you just,
like when you see a pit bull like hanging on the tire in the yard, like,
same.
yeah, I'm like that with music. It's like, okay, that's going to go on my MP3 player and I'm just going to like listen to that all the time.
Yeah.
Till like I'm in the mood for something else.
Yeah. It's like I did that with the Jam, like for like almost a year.
Oh man.
It's like,
yeah,
they recorded so much and it's like it was so much variation. And it was
and
like
there's some songs where like I'm like how I'm appreciating these guys. It's like I hear them and it's like, oh yeah, that's great, But sometimes there's like another way to enjoy music. It's like stuff that grows on you, because like the Jam, like I have my favorite songs of theirs, but then there's other songs where it's like, yeah,
this one's not the best.
It's a cool song, but it's not like pushing all my buttons, But then like if you like listen to that stuff for like a couple weeks or a month straight, then it's like then it all kind of starts making sense.
Right.
Yeah, there's like some bands need to be appreciated that way where it's just like, oh, that song didn't hit me the first time around.
Right.
But now.
Right. Yeah. Whereas like, like Eaton Rifles and like that Kinks cover, David Watts that they do. And like Bitterest Pill and
Bitterest Pills.
Little Boy Soldiers. Like there are so many songs that are just like, oh man, like these are the greatest songs ever written. And then it's like, well, no, it's like that one song, what is it, Pretty Green?
Yeah.
And it's like, that song's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like it grew on me and it's like, yeah, that's one of their best songs. Like it's just a simple little song.
Yeah, that one got me first time around, but some of the others like they grow on you kind of.
Right. Yeah, and you have more of an ear for the like the soft and pretty stuff.
Well, I'm a sentimental sap.
Yeah.
I'm willing to like let that stuff in.
Well, and like can I do my best Bane imitation? You merely adopted heavy metal. I was born to it. Yeah. So Grand Magus, holy moly. I love those guys so much. I mean, for the edification of both you and the listeners. Yeah, my two favorite albums of theirs are The Hunt and Triumph and Power. Like both of those albums are just like they're chock full. And it's like that is like not discounting any of their other albums. Like
those are just personal favorites.
Yeah, those are just personal favorites. Like their follow-up to Triumph and Power was an album called Sword Songs. Listen to some of these song titles: Freya's Choice, Varangian, Forged in Iron, Crowned in Steel, Last One to Fall, Frost and Fire.
Yeah. They're kind of some of the godfathers of like all this stuff.
Yeah, they do that album ends with a cover of Rainbow's Stormbringer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. These guys rule. And, contradict or contrast or compliment what I said earlier about Black Crows of like, yeah, sometimes a song, needs backup singers and claptrap and a keyboard player. And
Other times it doesn't.
yeah, other times just 3 guys and 2 shirts are all you need. A guitar, a bass, a drum kit, 3 guys, 2 shirts. What more do you need?
Not much.
Yeah.
About as little as you need.
Yeah. A couple pairs of sunglasses.
Yeah.
Good to go. All right. Couple more bands that we've already covered on the podcast, but have had albums come out this year. First up, or well, I guess not first up, but next up is Castle Rat. And they've been around for a couple years, but they finally just had their first full length album come out this year. This is off the album Into the Realm. This is Fresh Fur by Castle Rat. Yeah, I don't know if everybody else likes that band as much as I do.
The Count.
Yeah. But yeah, their shtick might be a little much for everybody, but there's no denying how rad Riley Pinkerton is. What a heavy metal heroine.
Yeah, there's a couple things in there. I don't know, when she's swinging that sword around and they have like the delay on the video, reminds me of the like the album cover Paranoid.
Yep.
Like what's that guy wearing in
You don't know? Because
well, it looks like
I've had people ask.
Looks like a union suit or something.
Yeah, or he's wearing like long underwear with like different colored briefs over it and like weird bicycle helmet. He's like swinging a like plastic lightsaber around or something.
Yeah, he's like supposed to be a wizard or something, but
no,
like
you don't know? Because I've had other people ask and ponder this.
Is that the Iron Man?
No. We didn't know until Ozzy left the band, but it's all been revealed. He's one of the Neon Knights.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense now.
Right?
A little foreshadowing.
Yep. Yeah, once I realized that, it was like, oh, now that album cover makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, wasn't that Paranoid? Is that the album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy in his underpants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then is that guitar player, the Count guy, is his last name Clemenson? Probably not.
No, Frank.
Oh, Vitor.
Yeah.
Oh, she did all the costumes.
Yeah.
And the editing.
Yeah.
Cool. So she's responsible for that delay sword swing.
Yep. She didn't do
cool.
Matt Gibbs ran the blow dryer because getting your hair like that is a 2-person job for sure.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I just wondered if he was related to Zal Clemenson from the sensational Alex Harvey band.
Not familiar.
Yeah, we can check them out afterwards. Okay. They're a Scottish band. But
sounds cool.
It was reminiscent a little bit of Zal Clemenson.
Yeah, who are the band members? There's the Rat Queen, also the Castle Rat. Or no, I guess it's the Rat Queen. Yeah, the Rat Reaperess. It's like the friend Olivia. The Count is like the other like founding member of the band. Or no, I guess she already had a band. Yeah, there's like a whole story, like a real life saga as to how this band was formed. But yeah, so there's the Rat Queen, the Count, there's like the Plague Doctor, and I think it's the Druid. I think the Druid is the drummer. Yeah, and then like the Rat Reaperess is their Eddie. She comes out. Yeah, she's part of the band, but not part of the band. She's the foil.
That's weird because your last song was about flying,
and
this song's about rats.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's all one big neon night.
Yeah, there's a lot of synchronicity on the Hear Me Out Bro podcast.
For sure.
Flying rats.
Nice. So, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo with like putting stuff out into the universe, but this is 100% true. Started to introduce Castle Rat. We both decided to take a break, came back to reintroduce Castle Rat. And during the break, I was checking my phone and introducing like the next generation heavy metal heroine, Riley Pinkerton, and her band. And somebody liked a comment that I left on a post like last month. But a bunch of bands I really like are touring early next year. Here, Encephalum, Heidevolk, Ailstorm, a bunch of other bands touring in all over Europe together. And
Is that the like the pirate Viking tour or something?
no, it's just Pagan Fest. But yeah, like they have done stuff like that before with Ailstorm. Yeah, so I was like super excited, but it's like, oh man, I wish you were here. I want to see all of those bands. And so I just, dumb Facebook comment said, yay, now extend the tour to North America. EO horns, black heart emojis. It got a like. Not even a like, a love.
Ah.
Speaking of heavy metal heroines,
Oh, who liked your comment?
Doro.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Sweet.
that just happened. So yeah, putting cool heavy metal out into the universe. The universe reflects it back at you.
I'm not sure I want to find out how all this flying rat stuff manifests.
I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully this storm that's blowing through California is going to blow all the gulls to Utah.
No, man.
Otherwise they might come in.
Yeah, like last week when you were talking about cheetahs and how they figure they evolved here because of the antelopes.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the antelopes like are way too fast to prey for any other predator that was here.
Oh, that's scientific fact. That's not me figuring.
I was thinking but what if there was like flying monkeys?
Whoa.
Like from the Wizard of Oz, like you couldn't outrun those things.
No matter how fast you were.
That's what made them so terrifying.
Absolutely. Well, that and their freaky little faces and their little fezzes and little vests.
Yeah, fezzes. They had to be with those fezzes. They had to be part of some like fraternal.
Yeah, they're not just creatures.
Winged simian.
Yeah, they're not just creatures.
Brotherhood of the.
Yeah, they have some sort of culture. Like they wear hats and clothes. Like they're not just animals. They have a material culture. That's terrifying. And they're monkeys with wings. What could be more horrifying?
Well, giant flying rats. Well, no. Nothing's scarier than monkeys. Mm-hmm. Well, there's only one thing scarier than monkeys. And that ties into Zal Clemenson, which we'll touch on post episode.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So next up, another band that we've talked about on the podcast, new generation of heavy metal heroes, cranking out good music. This is Haunt off the album, their latest release, Dreamers and Steel Mountains.
Speaking of signs and manifesting things.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Putting stuff out in the universe.
Yeah, putting stuff out in the universe. Yeah, that's the second BC Rich Eagle bass tonight.
Uh-oh.
I know. Getting some gas here. You know what gas stands for?
Is it similar to the I wants?
Yeah, it's gear acquisition syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Who was it? Which one of your friends had came up with the term the I wants?
Oh, that was Rob Roberson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That gives me the I
bad
wants.
Case of the I wants. Yeah.
Gimme.
Yep.
Yeah, gear acquisition syndrome. Yeah.
I like that. Like the little intro part. It's like kind of John Carpenter-y.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that a lot. They have several songs that kind of start off with like a little synthesizer-y little, what did Steve Miller Band call it? Like the space intro or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It was like that trope
Yeah.
they did a couple times. They had like the space intro.
Space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that Prophet synthesizer sound like John Carpenter used in all his movies.
Yeah.
That guy didn't get enough credit for his soundtracks either. It's like
he does. It's just
director.
Yeah.
I mean, he does, but
yeah,
he's
he's way more famous for being a director. But yeah, it's like
yeah,
that dude, what a visionary.
Yeah, those guys are cool. Like, I think the other Haunt videos that we had like didn't show the band playing in it.
That's possible. Yeah, this is
those
like
guys are cool.
The current lineup when I saw them earlier this year.
Nice.
Yeah, so much freaking talent. And like, man, it's just all their songs just like they're like pitch perfect for that like kind of retro heavy metal sound. Like,
yeah.
Man, they nail it every time.
Yeah, they have their own sound, but it's familiar, but it's not really derivative.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like if you've watched that show Stranger Things, where it's like, yeah, they have like retro stuff in it. Like they have callbacks to other stuff and like Easter eggy kind of stuff. And it's like it's set in the 80s, but it's like, it's not. And like, it's its own thing. It's just it's not like, oh, it's like a rehashing of whatever, Full House or whatever.
Well,
Alf.
It's
not a gritty
it's
reboot.
The 80s. It's the 80s through the eyes of someone that was born after the 80s that didn't live through it.
True.
Or it seems that way anyways.
Right.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, it's like a stylized version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everybody listen to more Haunt. Those guys rule.
Speaking of stylized a la carte 80s.
Yes. So getting back to the, some bands can be a guitar, a bass, a drum kit, three guys, 2 t-shirts. But then there's also the Black Crowes path of like, sometimes you need like a keyboard player and backup singer.
Choir.
Yeah, and a
gospel choir.
Yeah. So yet another band that we've talked a bunch about on the podcast. This album hasn't come out, but this is the second single from like their upcoming project.
Will it be out by year's end?
I don't know.
Could be.
Only time will tell.
But the single was released in 2024.
This single was released 2 days ago.
Oh.
This is the Night Flight Orchestra.
Hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses. Yeah, the vinyl's still kind of smushy. So be careful. The Night Flight Orchestra, Way to Spend the Night.
Oh, man.
Sometimes I feel like that. See a Negro Modelo spokesman, the most
interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Like I don't always drink this.
That was Dos Equis.
Dos Equis, yeah, you're right. I don't always, drink Dos Equis or whatever his thing was. Like I don't always like bands with a shtick, but sometimes I do.
Oh man. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be fun to like spend a night in Monte Carlo with that dude and his posse.
Totally.
Oh wait. I feel like a little sneeze coming on. Shock. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's Swedish for thick.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'll probably cut that out. Maybe we should change our podcast name from the Hear Me Out Bro podcast to the Cut That Out Bro podcast.
Maybe.
We're gonna have two podcasts. One of the Hear Me Out Bro podcast, and then the Cut That Out Bro podcast of
Right.
all
The scraps.
everything we cut out of the episodes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Don't Iron Maiden have a song called Women in Uniform?
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't that was off the first album, wasn't it?
I think so.
Debut.
Actually, let's research that since we're an actual factual podcast.
Yeah.
Semi-factual.
Which also means I'm gonna have to add the song that you forced my hand.
It's a cover. It's Iron Maiden's third single. It was a cover by a band called Skyhooks from Australia.
Huh.
From the 1978 album Guilty Until Proven Insane.
Whoa.
Something for the post.
All right. So kind of forced my hand by bringing up Women in Uniform. And now that we know a cover that Iron Maiden did, because a band that I had yet to talk about, I know I've talked to you about them, but I don't think I've talked about them here on the podcast.
Well, did they have a release from last year?
From this year? Yeah.
And you didn't have them on your list?
No, I did, but I had a different song from the same album.
Oh, got it.
So I'm going to leave both of these on here, but we'll only listen to one here on the podcast.
Okay.
So Nano War of Steel,
say it one more time slowly.
Nano War of Steel, a pretty silly heavy metal band from Italy, but I don't know. These guys just tickle my funny bone. I love everything they do.
Oh, this was your actual humorous song?
Yes. And
okay.
So the EP is called Storm Warrior of the Storm.
Perfect.
And yeah, I mean, we got time. Let's listen to both of them. They're both funny. So this is Storm Warrior of the Storm, title track from the EP.
Oh man, partly cloudy, partly cloudy.
Right? Like,
that's so silly.
It's so silly, but it's like, man, if you can't make fun of the stuff you love, like, come on.
Man-O-War, not Nano-War.
Right.
But Man-O-War is like one of my karaoke go-tos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there's some others, like Jefferson Starship and stuff,
Right.
Like, this stuff would be super fun for karaoke.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's like they could just be like a straightforward heavy metal band, but it's like, that's too easy. Like,
yeah,
because they write killer songs, but it's like, well, yeah, we're just too big.
Well, they're also kind of jokers.
Yeah, it's like they got too much shtick, too many shenanigans. They have so many songs that it's just like, this is a badass song, but it's about like European Union banking politics. Like, what? Or a weather forecaster. Yeah. So, in the spirit of laughing at things that you love, and because you brought up Women in Uniform, I added another Nano War of Steel song. So this is Afraid to Shoot into the Eyes of a Stranger in a Strange Land. You'll understand very shortly what's going on. There you go.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Love the little Eddie dude running.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, like why just have a tribute band? Like, why not do a tribute and make it like totally hilarious too? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, just like nonsensical. Like, I think I commented on this video when it first came out. Yeah, there it is. Nanowar taking the job of creating uncanny nonsense back from AI. Godspeed, you magnificent bastard.
Yeah, man.
It's like some weird AI version, but like some dudes from Italy wrote it.
All right. So yeah, new good music is constantly coming out. I'm as guilty as anyone of just revisiting the past to listen to stuff I like, but
Same.
and I had tons of stuff I wanted to include, and it was like, oh, no, that was 2022, or oh, that was 2023, or
Yeah, me too.
oh, that's from the 20 teens, or yeah, like, yeah, there's all kinds of good music out there,
Definitely.
and more every day.
Definitely. Not all of it is really silly, but some of it is. Yeah. So hopefully next year will be just as good musically. Yeah, if the next Night Flight Orchestra project doesn't come out this year, it'll come out next year.
Seems like it's a new pattern in the music business too, just to kind of release songs as you put them out. Like,
yeah,
the album is kind of an outmoded means of delivering music.
Kind of, but it also
kind of.
It also is kind of nice. Like, here's this collection of songs. Like,
well, and for every iTunes 99-cent single that came out, it made us want albums again.
Right.
You know? It's still the preferred method.
Yeah, still has relevance.
Yeah, especially as an artistic stamp.
For sure.
So to close out, that's all our favorites of 2024.
Yeah.
And to close out the rest of the year, we're going to have our Christmas special right before Christmas. And then right before New Year's on the 30th, we'll put out our top 10 songs from when we rated songs. And we haven't been rating songs for a while. We probably should have done it on this one, but we might just do secret ballot from now on to just for the sake of brevity. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked the gut reaction. Like,
yeah, like first time hearing this.
Yeah.
What do you think? Where's it go on the leaderboard?
Right. Yeah, you're right. We should have done it for this long or for this episode.
Yeah, we've been kind of lax on that, but we'll start that again in the new year because we're going to be returning to like some of our old formats of convincer episodes and also genres and countries and things like that.
Right.
Get back in the swing of that. We'll start putting some numbers on things again. So, but we do have a good top 10 that we'll share on the 30th.
Yep.
For New Year's to like wrap up season 1 of the Hear Me Out Bro podcast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Christmas, then top 10. What a way to end the year. I like it. All right. Well, that's our list of what we thought were the best songs from 2024.
Well, our favorite songs.
Our favorites, yeah. Maybe not the best. So hopefully you guys find something that you like in this list.
Or something to check out.
Yeah.
Yes, something to check out. Like a band you haven't heard to check out. Or you can just like laugh at how goofy we are.
Yeah.
Enjoy our awkwardness.
Do they like any band? It's just a band. Why do they all have to play?
Does it always have to be something?
Yeah. Why does it all have to be costumes and make-em-ups? All right, everybody.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Checking out music with my bro. Willing to dig it, yes or no?